So second grade, I just wanted to go over with you just another example of writing a narrative writing, one type. We're going to learn how to do narrative writing in terms of events that actually happened, and then we'll do narrative writing about things that are made up. But don't worry about that too much. Right now, we're going to talk about events that actually happened. So going to the park, Miss Hilario, brainstormed her thoughts, actions, and feelings. Something that's super important to remember is that we're not going to use all our thoughts and feelings in the story that we're telling, but we are going to use the actions because the actions are the events that we talked about in the other video, or the ones that have like this first happened, then this, next this, then last, okay? So make sure you remember that you don't have to use all your thoughts and feelings. You want to just sprinkle them in there with your story, and you want to use all your actions, okay? So let's get started. So when you remember that when we're writing narrative, we want an opening sentence or two or three, depending on how many. The events where you use first, next, then last, and then you want a closing that tells the reader how you felt overall or at what happened or your final thought about the whole event, okay? So I'm going to put my title at the top, going to the park, okay? So I'm going to start with my opening, and if you remember our opening, we can use any of these sentence starters. And I think I'm going to use one day for this one, okay? So I start writing, one day I went to the park with my dad. Okay? So this one can be as simple as saying, one day I went to the park with my dad, right? Good. All right, so now I'm reading over my actions that I wrote. So I played on the monkey bars. I went super high on the swings. I had a snack. I went down the slide a million times. Okay. So one day I went to the park with my dad. Now we can jump right into the events part. First, I played on the monkey bars, okay? Then I went super high on the swings. So this is a sentence that I want to include a feeling, and one of the feelings that I wrote here was I was scared with how high I went on the swings. So this is an example of where I'm not using all my feelings or I'm not using all my thoughts, but I am going to sprinkle in a feeling. So I was so scared about how high the swing was going. I thought I would fall off my swing. Okay? So that's just a little sprinkle of like your feelings, your thoughts, right? So we have then next, I had my snack I brought. Okay. Last, I went down the slide a million times. That's pretty exciting. So I think I'm going to put an exclamation point. Okay. So we just finished telling about our event. And again, Miss Hilario is using the actions she brainstormed. And she has to use all the actions she brainstormed in the order that they happened. You cannot put them in a random order because your reader wasn't there with you, so they can assume or think that you did it in the order you listed or wrote it down. So to help your reader really get involved and think about being there with you, you have to put this in order, just like I did here. So I said I played on the monkey bars, right? I went super high on the swings. I had a snack. And I went down the slide a million times, right? So that's the order of how I spent my time at the park. Okay? So we have our events, and now we have to put a closing sentence, okay? So we use these sentence starters. So I'm going to think about an emotion or a way I felt. Let me put this here. So this is so much fun. I love hanging out with my family. I changed it to Dad. There's so much to do. So maybe I might want to use I love hanging out with my dad. And maybe something like I was so happy that I got to hang out with my dad at the park that day. Okay? So I was, and I'm using a thought and an emotion, but again, you can use either. I was so happy I got to spend the day with my dad at the park. Exclamation point. So let's go through this again. I'm going to go with my green marker. You don't have to do it, but if it helps you, you're more than welcome to help yourself. I'm going to go through and underline my opening. So my opening is telling us what the setting was and who with who. So one day I went to the park with my dad. Cool. When we start seeing first, that's how we know we're moving into our events. So first, I played on the monkey bars. Then I went super high on the swings. I was so scared about how high the swing was going. I thought I would fall off my swing. Next, I had my snack I brought. Last, I went down the slide a million times. Okay? When you see last, that is the last part of your event. And now we're going to go into your closing. And remember, your closing is telling your last feeling or what you thought in that event. So I was so happy I got to spend the day with my dad at the park. Okay? So I'm going to read it all the way through just so you can hear how smooth and how good. Remember, it's not just saying first, next, then last. It's so robotic and so boring. You want to do and add emotions. Now, you don't have to add every single feeling or thought you had during that event. But remember, you can just sprinkle it in on one event that you were talking about, right? So Miss Hilario only did one feeling and thought for this part. The rest was just telling us what we did. So one day I went to the park with my dad. First, I played on the monkey bars. Then I went super high on the swings. I was so scared about how high the swing was going. I thought I would fall off my swing. Next, I had my snack I brought. Last, I went down the slide a million times. I was so happy I got to spend the day with my dad at the park. And that's how you write a narrative paragraph about an event that actually happened. So after watching this video, you can go ahead and complete the topic that you need to write about, okay? Let me know if you have any questions.